This is the Gothic Beach Bum coming back with the next part of the Choose Your Own Adventure series, Chapter 4, Caught Breaking In. You've chosen to go for the window. A gust of wind hits you from behind, making you stumble forward a couple of steps, almost knocking you to the ground. There's only a couple of them in the way, and the wind is behind you. You don't know if this is good or bad. You take a deep breath, tighten your grip on the crowbar, and sprint for the closest. Reaching it, you bring the curved end of the crowbar down on its head. Between your speed, the wind pushing on you, and the weight of the tool, you hear a sickening crack as its skull caves in. It falls to the ground, and your instincts scream at you about how wrong this is. You hesitate for a moment, staring at the body just long enough for the other to enter your immediate view. It moved faster than you expected. Another particularly strong gust of wind forces you into it, toppling both of you. This one is more rotten than the last few, and the stench makes you throw up a little, which goes into its face. Its mouth was open, trying to bite, and this just makes you retch harder, emptying more of your stomach. It's still trying to bite while your body won't cooperate. Everything in you is screaming in fear as you shove against its chest to get enough space before ramming the sharp end of the crowbar through its open mouth. It goes limp, and more rot hits you as you empty the rest of your stomach. You jerk away as the hand of the one who had fallen before reaches for you. Leaping to your feet, you bolt for the window. Approaching, you realize it's higher than you thought. From a distance, it looked chest high, but it's definitely a little over your head. You reach up and try to open it, but naturally it's locked. So you use the crowbar to break the latch. You back away a little to give yourself a running start and notice another one of them at your feet. You spike it with the crowbar as it grabs for you. Another sickening sound as this one goes limp too. You're able to suppress the shudder as you look around for more. Several are nearby, so you have to make this jump count. You take a deep breath, run for the wall, and leap up, kicking the wall to give you more height, and you just barely able to get a good grip on the window. You flail around for a bit, but are able to force yourself inside. You turn to close the window and see the entire space below is now writhing with them. You slide the window closed and immediately feel relief from the weather. You peek around the room and see furniture covered in dusty sheets. It's obviously some sort of bedroom. 2 beds, 2 nightstands, 2 chairs, 2 desks, and 2 of what you assume are wardrobes. Only 1 coat rack, but you suppose you only need 1 for 2 coats, and finally a folding room divider, folded up and stuffed partway behind one of the wardrobes. The floor is hardwood, real hardwood, and not just some cheap paneling from a hardware store. You can tell it had once upon a time been polished before it was left to collect dust. Then you notice, despite the intense icy wind that just blew in a bunch of rain, which has thoroughly soaked the floor, it's not cold in here. It's not hot either. In fact, it's downright comfortable. A loud bell starts ringing, clearly from somewhere inside or above the building. It sounds like the kind in a clock tower. You look at your phone, but the time is 12:30. You wonder if your time went off without reception, then you hear a bustle outside as someone yells out, "Intruder!" You jam your phone back into your pocket and look around. You realize you can't hide. After what you've just gone through, your arms are too sore to keep fighting, so you decide to submit and hope you don't wind up like the people outside. You don't have to wait long as the door explodes inward, and your entire body feels like it's being shoved downward like you're on a roller coaster. Your body naturally tries to fight it for a few seconds before being completely overwhelmed, and you slam into the ground as a man enters the room. His hand looks like he's trying to palm a basketball, but it's facing you, palm out, almost like he's trying to hold you at bay. Behind him, there's many young people in the same uniform you saw outside. The man holds up a hand to those behind him, and everything goes silent, like the world is waiting for him to speak. He stares down at you for a couple seconds, taking you in, then firmly asks, "Who are you, and why are you here?" You sputter, trying to talk, but the weight you're under makes it hard to breathe. He just waits as you finally take a deep gasp and start talking. Between heavy gasps, you tell him your name, about the lightning strike, the road, what happened to your car, deciding to hide in the boathouse until morning to avoid the risk of approaching at night and then getting attacked. He waits for you to finish, and you can clearly see his annoyance as he starts to speak. "Yes, I was informed about the lightning several hours ago. This explains why we didn't find a body. I understand running from the dead, but why didn't you use the bloody door like a normal human being?" You're ashamed to admit that it just didn't occur to you. Let's say I believe for a moment you aren't sneaking around trying to do us harm. Why shouldn't I crush you into a paste right here and now? You start to whimper and sob as panic sets in, and you begin pleading with him. He watches you for a minute before slowly raising a foot and slamming it back to the floor, accompanied by a blinding flash and a thunder crack that leaves your ears ringing. "Enough! You're too pathetic to be one of our enemies." He relaxes his hand, and you feel the pressure leave your body. The thunder brought you back to your senses enough to understand what he was saying. Your body is exhausted. A short girl with dark curly hair steps into the door, and the man holds his hand up to her. "Why are you here, Livy? You should be in the East Wing." She smiles and looked up at him coyly. "I saw this ever so dangerous intruder take down a couple of our disgraced members outside and came to investigate, brother." "And yet you didn't raise the alarm?" He shook his head in disappointment. "Of course not, my dear brother. I would never have wanted to spook the poor thing. I might have had to resort to something brutish, like pinning them to the floor." She practically beamed up at him. The man let out a bitter laugh. "Ha! Better my ways than yours. You have no sense of humor, brother." Her remark clearly fell on deaf ears. He looks back to you. "You're clearly helpless in the face of our craft. I think it best if we throw you in the dungeon for the night. We'll have you meet with the master in the morning to sort out your situation." "Oh, come now, brother," Livy chimed in. "I could just play guard duty for the night. We don't meet many outsiders, it could be a good chance to learn of the outside world. As she says, stranger, the man reluctantly agreed. We rarely learn of the outside. I could leave you to amuse her curiosities while she's on patrol, or take you to a cell. I assure you, both will be equally unpleasant. You don't like how this Livy is looking at you, but being free to walk around is better than a dungeon cell, right? Votes on this post are open until November 8th. If you don't want to subscribe to Patreon, that is okay. You just simply wait for the next one here on YouTube with everyone else. There is no pressure to sign up over there. This has been the Gothic Beach Bum, and I'm out.